Welcome to the Injection Connection, in-depth discussions with thought leaders and professionals in the polyurethane infrastructure repair industry, hosted by Jim Spiegel, Vice President of Alchemy Speed Tech and board member at the International Concrete Repair Institute.
So Kev, as I said, this is the Injection Connection podcast. Thanks for joining.
Injection Connection.
You got it. And I wanted to give a little background on you. So how long have we known each other?
I'd say, Jim, it's been getting on for 12 years now, I think.
And the fateful meeting was Frankie and Benny's.
Frankie and Benny's, there you go. So Frankie and Benny's, you badgered us to come over and want to sell something we'd never really heard of. And I was quite unwilling to do it, but you know what? Things changed and I gave it a whirl anyway. And we did. We had a little chat in Frankie and Benny's. Got up to about 40 degrees, drinking a coffee. And it pretty much started there, Jim. So a very fruitful relationship between both of us.
And just for clarification, of any listeners here about the temperature, 40 degrees, you're talking Celsius there, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. To our American cousins, it was pretty hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I think originally we talked about some mechanical packers, right? Didn't I have mechanical packer samples with me at that time?
Yeah. So you spoke about mechanical packers, which we were supplying from Germany, in fairness. So we're buying a few thousand of them at a time, and that was quite interesting. And to be fair, you showed me a product which was 6,500, which I thought we could sell a bit of. How wrong I was, because we sold next to that fall, really. But you know what? We took the packers. We started taking your resin afterwards, and there you go. And from little acorns, we now have a small bush.
Yeah. Yep. And now 12 years later? I mean, I just saw on Instagram, it was Betsy's 11th birthday.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Actually, Jim, so it's probably getting on for 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I think
about 10 years. I think it was 2009 or 10 or so when we started. Yeah, so it's probably getting on for 10 years. So yeah, Betsy's 11th birthday. So yes, I've just looked. I've got an email from you from the 18th of December 2009.
So yeah, what's that? 10 years.
That was your initial email. You're giving me some landed costs for the packers.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so give us a little, just for people that don't know. So Kevin works you're the National Sales Director, I believe, or National Sales Manager. Is that the title now?
Sales Director, yeah. For an independent chemical distributor in the UK who've been going since 1990. I've been here since 1994, January. Started driving a van, which was a very good experience, and some days I wish it still was. But we've just grown organically and whatever since 94. A few good times, a few tough times, and it's all fun.
Yeah, and 94, you said you started driving. So when did you actually get into sales?
I'd say we were such a small outfit then, Jim, in 94. It was, within about 12 months we'd taken on a driver, which meant I could spend more time in the office, which means I could learn from Jeff, who's still here now, and pick up the reins. And it was probably, I'd say, about 98 when, we moved premises, when I started to really get into sales and try and drive things on. But basically stop drinking in the pub on a Sunday afternoon, night, and
right.
Be a bit more serious. Got to get to work tomorrow to earn a crust.
And Dawn was the sole owner, I think, the whole time, right?
It still is, in fairness, still is, and still works the most hours.
Yeah, perfect. So I know Dawn, just staying true to the topic of the show here with injection. So Dawn was involved in injection back in the 80s, right? With some German manufacturers.
So he he got into injection through his business partner. He used to work for Seeker Contracts Limited, which are not associated with Seeker. I don't know how they got the name. And he was doing concrete repair, waterproofing, flooring, resin flooring, that sort of thing. He left there to go into business with his mucker, and they set up a contracting arm. I think it was his mucker who knew more about injection than anything else. But Tom definitely cottoned on to the idea. There's a few quid in it, because it's quite a specialist thing. So he started doing injection. He was importing a German manufacturer's stuff, and and doing a lot of leak sealing around the country from there.
Yeah, so I remember when we first talked to you about it, and we were talking to Don. Remember, Don had a little bit of apprehension because he brought in the line from Germany and kind of pioneered it, so to speak, in the UK, and then they went a different direction. And the reason I bring that story up is it's kind of a common thing that we hear, with distribution, especially internationally, but even in the US, where people are apprehensive to bring stuff in because they pioneer it, and then that manufacturer just changes plans, does something else, pulls it from them, opens other people up, things like that. Do you see that happen quite a bit in the UK or other places?
No, I think the UK is quite an interesting market, Jim. I think that specialist distribution have made a market for themselves almost. I mean, if you went back 30, 35 years when Tom did this, and he was doing, in the story that you mentioned, he did pioneer it. He was bringing it in. He was doing a lot of injection. He did so much that the Germans wanted to put a presence here. So they set a guy on, an engineer, who shadowed him around all his jobs and got to meet clients and engineers and in effect built up a network. And it ended up where they called him to a meeting where there's a bunch of his competitors there, and this guy wanted Dom to train his competitors to do it. Obviously, he wasn't going to have that, so he went off, did his own thing. He ended up getting resin formulated in the UK, and Packers made it a mechanical workshop and made even more money, made even more cash than he was. So, but that was 30 odd years ago. And interestingly, he was a customer of EPMS. EPMS was running at that point. It was owned by a guy who sadly got cancer and died, but Tom was a customer of his. But this guy was on his own with a little yardman. So Tom, one day went in, and the guy passed away, and Don ended up, talking to his widow and putting an offer in for the company and whatever else, and that's history. So, and then we've gone from there. But to go back to distribution point of view, the UK is I don't know what it's like in Europe. I know a little bit what it's like in the States talking to you, but we've made such a market for ourselves. People choose to go through distribution rather than anything else almost. There are certain markets where people still will deal direct, and that's resin flooring mainly because it's quite price sensitive. But, we're far better than the manufacturers at doing what we should be doing.
Yeah. So do you see a lot of online sales?
Yes, it's definitely a market that's growing. I don't think it's there yet. It's not like we're selling bags of cement and sand and bricks and blocks. We're selling a specialist thing. There's a specialist element of advice to go with that. And I think, so I think that the online thing is coming, and we will need an e-commerce side of our business. But it's not there yet. It's definitely not in the UK anywhere.
Is Amazon in the UK?
Amazon, Jim, are they in the UK?
Yeah. Do you see a lot of people ordering things through Amazon or just
huge? There's a factory on the M1 which you start driving past on the motor and you do, 70 miles an hour, and like a minute later you're still driving past it. It's so huge. They're massive. They're huge. Everybody uses Amazon. Everybody. In fact, I've got a pal who heads up the British bit of Concept 2 over here, the American growing people, and Amazon are his biggest customer.
Yeah. No, I mean, the reason I asked that is I kind of think that the future of distribution could go that direction. I feel like right now Amazon and some of these larger groups are focused on larger markets, fashion, food, even auto, eBay got into auto, for instance. And, I just worry about the future distribution in general sometimes, where what happens when, say, an Amazon gets to construction chemicals,
I'd say we've got a lot of time and a lot of water to pass under the bridge between now and then. I'm not saying you need to be an expert in everything you sell. Obviously, Amazon sell so many lines. You just couldn't. You really couldn't. But I don't know. Just while I was talking, I thought, well, I'll have a little look at Amazon while we're on and put in a manufacturer. And they definitely send a lot of products at them. Practically, but it's definitely a market for the layman, for the general builder, rather than the specialist contractor.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on that, with especially with injection. And there's so much specialization with it, whether it's mixing a product a little differently. I mean, even like the polyacrylate products, like there's sodium persulfate component, the TEA or the A2, so to speak, component. There's, how would you possibly sell that through a retail shop and get any sort of support?
You really couldn't.
Yeah.
But said that, we deal with companies who just go online and they sell online and they do very well for themselves. Different things, different avenues. But I would never say that, they wouldn't buy anything really specialist from us at all. Certain products where we've got a call about them. The guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's selling. And before he gets himself into trouble, we'd rather just be upfront and say, I don't think this is your thing. You need to talk to your customer.
Right.
So, I mean, the distribution, we're not selling a commodity product, are we? That's the thing. We're not. It all struck me as odd in the States where, a guy doesn't make his own coffee, but he'll do his own injection on his basement. So it might be different over there. I mean, how the hell can he know how to drill a hole and inject through a pump and a packer and some resin, but he doesn't know how to, turn on his percolator and make a coffee or something like that for himself. So
yeah, Kevin, it's no joke. You're a little underwhelmed with American coffee, huh?
Yeah, well, it's
what did
tastes like tar.
What did the guy famously say at Bagels and Brew? We were there.
Tastes like tar. Tastes like tar, man. Tastes like tar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The times we've had, huh, Kev? I think you took me to what previously had a Michelin star Indian restaurant in Nottingham, right? The one with the tuk-tuk on the wall.
Oh yeah.
And then I took you to Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Yeah, no comparison. Wild Wings every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even I went to New York last year and saw a Wild Wings and had to go in. Just for old time's sake, for a chuckle.
Absolutely.
Nobody at the bar.
Absolutely. So it wouldn't be a podcast with someone from the UK if we didn't touch it. Not to be political, but really the Brexit situation, more with respect to trading, throughout Europe. What are some of the ramifications of what's going to happen and how you do business with other European countries?
Yeah, I think truthfully, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Boris has stood up and said we're going to get Brexit done, and if you saw his majority that he took in the general election, I mean, God, we could talk about that all night about Corbyn's campaign and different things, but nobody knows, Jim. Until the deal's in place and we know what the trading agreements are. If we get one trading agreement for several countries. Excuse me. I think Canada are a good example of that, but it's taken them a long time to get certain agreements. I'd say come back in 12 months and we'll have a much better idea what Boris is up to. But he is a can. But he is the man in charge.
Yeah, but as it stands right now, and within the European Union, it's completely free trade, right?
Yeah, we bring stuff in. We bring your stuff in from Belgium. We send a bit of stuff. We don't send a lot of stuff abroad, but we certainly have a big enough customer in Spain who's getting on towards 6 figures a year with us, and all that is free. It leaves here. It doesn't need any paperwork. You guys would send stuff in from the States, had signed invoices and copy invoices, and we're paying tariffs and all of that stuff. It's great. I mean, you could fit all Europe into about 3 states, Jim, anywhere.
Yeah.
But at the minute, it's great. It's free. Whether it'll continue to do that, I honestly don't know. If we send stuff and it's got to pass through various countries to get to its destination, I can see that being a proper ball game to people who export. And if your company depends on that, you're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely. So with that kind of segues a little bit into currency. So where do we stand right now with the value of the pound?
Well, it went up after Boris got in, that's for sure. So that's not a bad thing, I'd say. I think stability, Jim, that's what the currency market wants, is stability. And what are we now? We are 131 to the dollar, something like that. So it's definitely been at 125.
So to anyone that might be listening and wants to do business in Europe or international in general, obviously I have some experience with it. We always dealt in U.S. currency. What would be your recommendation from a customer standpoint, a supplier standpoint in your country? How would you prefer the transactions to go?
We now do it in the currency of the original customer. So, Speedtech in euros, we stick to euros. I don't think we see much point in. We've had some problems where we've converted it back to pounds and then sent it back as dollars or whatever. But I just say stick to the original currency. We're not going to get into. We're not going to join the single currency market. So we're sticking with the pounds, but we're quite alone in that in Europe, in essence. So I'd either say original currency or US dollars, either one.
So you're just doing the conversions at the time of payment, and whatever that is you take the hit, whether it's good or bad, essentially.
We'll take the hit, we'll take the gain, whichever. If you want a payment of $5,000 for that consignment, when it comes to pay it, we'll pay $5,000. And if that costs us £3,500 or £4,000, it's what it is at the time. We're not like the Bank of England. We don't set LIBOR rates, do we? When we do that much trading, and bigger companies do. To be fair, they'll agree on a euro rate, on the exchange rate at the start of the year. If we were doing a lot of incoming and outgoings on exporting, then we could agree on, but we'll just take it as it comes.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into another topic I had written down here. So one of the things that I think a lot of people, it's of interest. I mean, Lauren and I talk about it all the time. As you know, she lived in Europe for some years. I just thought it'd be an interesting topic, but the work-life balance, of Europe compared to the U.S. This is something that, obviously us having a European counterpart, being half owned by a Belgian company, it's there's discussions of it in our own internal team. So how do you see that balance? I know you have a fantastic work-life balance. I mean, the holidays you go on you go on the 7 to 10 day trips to, you're going to Spain and Greece and I think Thailand this year, right?
I went to Thailand. Yeah, took the kids away a bit further. So I think it's UK law that you get 20 days paid holiday a year, plus there's 8 bank holidays.
So when you're off, are you still looking at your emails? Are you still tied in?
It's but that's just me, and that's the position I'm in. I don't expect everyone to do that. If you want to, completely switch off, and don't get me wrong, I do. I definitely have a couple of days I don't do anything up and out of office. So you've got faith in the team behind you; they can handle it. Then I'd say, yeah, you know, you can switch off, but definitely at some point, you know, at a Thailand for 2 weeks last summer, you know, you want to be, just want to be checking in. Otherwise, you know, the plane journey on the on the way back was, you know, 11 hours, and that gives you 11 hours to delete about 1,000 emails that you can't be asked with, and leave the 300 that you might need to get back to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sales is a little different. That's a discussion I get in with Lauren as well. You know, she's more on the BD and strategy side, you know, kind of behind the scenes, and obviously we're on the front lines in sales. And you know, I think just, you know, by the nature of the position, the nature of the division of sales, you know, we're just geared that way just to always be on, you know, and if you're not responding to that, then your competitor is, and you know, it's just how we're wired, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we have interestingly, we probably get, I don't know, 150, 180 emails a day, something like that. Yeah. So, but we have a generic email address for Nottingham, which a lot of orders come into. Which, you know, there's 5 of us in it now, and I'm one of them. So you get to see what comes in anyway. You know, it's someone else's job to deal with that anyway, unless there's a pricing query. You're not going to get it. Yeah, you're quite right. I think you generally you want to know what's going on. You want to be in the loop rather than probably be out of it. But you know, to go back to the work-life, we do have a good work-life balance in the UK. I think we get plenty of holidays, plenty of downtime. You know, as much as you need. Crikey, and if anyone wants to complain, then come and see me, Big Cat.
Yeah, I actually heard. I don't know how much truth or factuality there is to it, but I heard that, I believe it was in Germany or maybe it was Switzerland, but that they were thinking about going to a kind of having mandates where you couldn't email, you know, coworkers and things like that outside of working hours, or, you know, certain companies would set up these email permissions, you know, that you couldn't transmit. Have you heard anything like that?
No, Jim. Honestly, what the hell? You know, that'll be a HR nightmare. That'll be. You sent me an email at 6:05. I mean, clearly, you know, from our company, we're meant to have a walk, talk, Skype policy. So if you can't walk and see someone, you know, you're meant to ring them up, and if you can't, you Skype them. If you can't, you email them. So I mean, you know, it doesn't always work like that, but we try and promote that. So if you know, much better. We have one guy who I won't name in the company who is definitely an email warrior. He'll sit at his desk and he'll email the guy sat opposite him, and that's just wrong. That is wrong. You know, he's there just having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, we could all definitely do with a few less emails. I'd say that. But if we didn't have any customers, Jim, we'd be appreciating this job.
Yeah, absolutely. And the internal emails thing, that's another thing that we talk about quite a bit, and I don't want to say struggle with, but you know, it is a challenge. Like you're talking about 150 emails a day. I mean, that, you know, I have situations like that where I'll go into an hour-long meeting and come out to 50 new emails, for instance. So it's, you know, the volume of emails, and a lot of that is internal, you know. So how would you guys deal with, do you have any policies in place or any directives in place to deal with the internal emails?
Yeah, the walk, talk, Skype policy that I mentioned, I don't think I'd email anyone in this building if I couldn't go and talk to them. You couldn't have a chat. And, you know, unless there's something specific that you need to put in writing, just so there's a record. Honestly, the internal emails, I don't think we have the policy yet, or the policy, but we're not quite into the mentality where everybody copies everybody in, and that's really the worst bit. You just get CC'd into an email, which it doesn't bother you, doesn't concern you, whatever else. So, you know, we're not quite in that. We have a generic Nottingham email address, and if you send it to that one, there's 5 of us get a copy of it. But
right.
We don't copy people in for the sake of it. But, you know, but still, if you can go and walk and talk to someone, just do that instead. You know, don't send them an email, just get up from your desk, you lazy fat bastard. Pretty much,
yeah.
I'm looking at you, Jeff.
Yeah. Kevin, you never mince words, that's for sure. I mean, the thing that we have though is a lot of our team is remote. I mean, it's actually a little bit of our model, at least on the sales side, that we would rather have a salesman in that market, working from a home office than in the office. So we have a lot of our team that's just, obviously we can't walk and see them. It'd be a hell of a walk if we did, but so I agree with you though. The copying, I think, is where a lot of companies and a lot of people get themselves in trouble, because you try to copy a lot of people because you think that they need to know, but then it just turns into a
they don't.
Yeah.
They're not bothered. They're honestly not bothered. So I don't know. It's do you know what? Rarely, I wouldn't say rarely delete anything, but I must have, how many emails do you think I've got in my inbox? Oh, I've got my proper one, but I reckon it's definitely in 5 figures. So
that's quite
in my deleted files, I must have 50,000 emails.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Of course it is. It's absolutely absurd. Am I ever going to look through them? If I ever need to search for something, then there you go. I am very poor at filing things, even on email inbox, because your inbox is just full for you. You just search the damn thing. So I think he knew what he was doing during this Bill Gates guy, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so this was masterminded for sure. It's taking over, but it doesn't seem that it's, the more communication isn't directly proportional to more revenue or more sales. A lot of people say, well, how did we do it 30 years ago? When we were faxing people and keeping handwritten notes, and so I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon that the more communication doesn't necessarily lead to more productivity or more revenue. As a matter of fact, it probably leads to more noise and more distraction.
It's less, because you spend more time looking through emails to see if anything concerns you than anything else, than being proactive. 30 years ago, Jim, you used to see a bunch of guys queuing up at a phone box so they could ring the office, see if there's any messages for them.
Yeah.
Before mobile phones. So.
Well, you're aging yourself there, Kev.
Well, crikey, I think it was about 96 when I got my first phone, Jim, and to be fair, it's probably smaller than the one I got now.
Yeah.
It didn't do much. I didn't do much. So, I didn't. Honestly, the email thing, it does irritate. It irritates me when people copy you in for no reason without anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I think from your point of view, I think, from a sales team, particularly the vast country that is America, then it'll be difficult to get everyone together in an office. But then, you don't have calls coming in to a central sales office, do you? Like a distributor would have, anything and everything.
Yeah.
So,
working
from home policy, Jim, that's an interesting one. That is.
Well, I mean, but I mean, the guys are traveling and guys and girls are traveling and in the field quite a bit, so it's really just home office to plan, get the CRM updated, make calls for your next trip, things like that. So it's not all sitting in the office. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's interesting. I think from your perspective, the guys and girls is, you probably need to have that. Whereas we, if you're not out seeing someone, you're in the office type of thing.
Yeah.
It's the mentality we have. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Well, Kev, hey, I have a hard stop here because I have to jump on a conference call. But it's good catching up with you. And as you see, we're going to be doing a number of episodes here. So hopefully we can have you back on and maybe get into some more entertaining stories that we have between us. But
next time you come on, Jim, I'll get myself a chicken wings. Just pay homage.
Maybe we could do it both remotely from Buffalo Wild Wings and get them to sponsor.
Jim, honestly, I'll get a Frankie Benny shoot of Wild Wings.
Classic.
You get that much these days, Jim, or you
Out in the field and traveling, you mean?
No, I mean out for a beer. Much.
Kev, I have a 1.5-year-old. So I don't know if you remember those days of having a 1-year-old, but no, I don't get out much at all. So, the beers, if we're going to have a pint, it's at home. Lauren has a glass of wine and I'll have a beer, and that's our.
It's a tough issue because at 1.5, you can't just put them in the chair and expect them to sit there.
Yeah.
At all. And they're not old enough to entertain themselves. So you're in the for about 2.5 years, you're almost in the worst spot.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to helicopter and be right above them on everything. But no, I think we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. His personality is now changing so much, and now he's starting to talk. So that's just a game changer. So
it's good for me, definitely. Yeah, I do remember the days a long time ago, but it was gone. Interesting times. I wouldn't say it's a better or worse now. It's just different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different times. It's equally as rewarding. You see your boy playing his band and play, Nirvana cover tracks and stuff like that in his band, and you go, it's very, very good. But would I go back to the old days? When I out gym, I think I can leave and go to the pub as long as I'm back for 9:30ish.
Yeah.
And, they're good.
Yep. Well, Kev, I got to run. Unfortunately, let's catch up again.
Yeah.
And thanks for giving us your time to come on.
Nice one, Jim. I'll expect the invitation back for round 2.
Absolutely, Kev. Appreciate it. Tell Kate and the kiddos I said hello.
Will do, mate. All right. Nice one, Jim. We'll catch you later, Paul.
Okay. We'll see you, Kev.
All right. Good night, mate. Bye.